A boy named Makoto lived an ordinary life as a high schooler when he suddenly gets summoned in front of a deity, who introduces himself as Tsukiyomi, the ruler of the realm of night, explaining how he summoned him here to turn him into a hero and hand him over to a goddess of another world. Tsukiyomi tells him that his parents are summons from another world too, and due to the deal they made, they have agreed to someday give away whatever is most important to them. Upon seeing him, the goddess starts making fun of his looks, wondering how he could be the offspring of such promising parents. While mocking Makoto, she refuses to give him any substantial powers, instead only granting him the ability to communicate on all non-human languages. That way he will be able to understand the monsters in the corner of the world where she decided to drop him into. Before sending him off, she commands him to not spread his ugly genes among the humans of this world. While falling into the world, Tsukiyomi reaches out to him once more, giving him his blessing to be free in this world. After wandering for 3 days, he runs across an orc lady in distress and decides to help her. She's being attacked by a huge two-headed wolf. By fighting him, Makoto realizes just how strong he actually is in this world. The orc lady tells him that her name is Emma and explains that she is meant to be a sacrifice to Shen on top of the Divine Mountain. Apparently, there is a thick fog that enveloped her village, which caused their crops to fail. Offering sacrifices causes the fog to subside, so now it is her turn. She leads Makoto to a resting place where he is the topic of conversation among the other orcs. Noticing that Emma is using magic, he convinces her to teach him too how to do it. His ability to use magic is so great that it amazes Emma, who wonders just how high of a level he is. She thinks he must be in the high 200s or 300s, so once she learns that he is in fact level 1, she is left in shock. The next day, Makoto leaves a note behind for Emma, heading out on his own. In the note, he thanks her for teaching him all that great magic, adding that he's taking the gear she gave him and going ahead to take care of Shen. Upon reaching a high point on the mountain, Makoto decides to test out his control over magic, creating a fiery bow and shooting a Torii gate as target practice. The large explosion takes out some evil monsters who were hiding nearby, and as they perish, their leader tells him that they were just using Shen's name to subjugate the orcs. But now that the gate is destroyed, Shen is bound to be angry and appear to exact his wrath. Just as the monster said, a massive dragon appears and attacks Makoto. Much to the dragon's surprise, Makoto is able to fight back. Not only that, but Makoto injures the dragon with his fire bow, even though the dragon is supposed to be resistant to fire. As a last resort, the dragon traps Makoto in a happy illusion. Thanks to the power that Tsukiyomi gave him, Makoto is able to realize that he is inside of an illusion, breaking out of it with ease. But the dragon is no longer interested in fighting, as by watching his memories, he learned that Makoto is from another world. In order to be able to learn more about that other world, the dragon offers to sign a pact with Makoto, becoming his companion. He introduces himself as Shen, a greater dragon who is considered to be invincible. Considering their power difference, Shen is forced to become his slave for the pact to be fair. Even so, Shen is happy to do it, convinced that this will be the best period of his life. Once the pact is formed, Shen transforms into a humanoid form, revealing that she was a girl all along. Shen explains that she has to take the form of the dominant person in a pact. That is why she looks like a human now. And she is absolutely taken by the samurai drama she was able to see in Makoto's memories, striving to behave like a samurai herself. Shen shows Makoto one of her powers, a demi-plane she is able to control. By entering her demi-plane, it becomes evident that thanks to their pact, the area inside of it changed and expanded into a large fertile land. Makoto wonders if they could build a town inside of it, keeping it hidden from the horrible goddess. Upon exiting the demi-plane, they run across Emma. She is at a loss of words after learning that Makoto bested Shen, forming a pact with her. Returning with Emma to her village of orcs, Shen tells their chief what was really going on the mountain, offering the orcs to move out of the wasteland and into her demi-plane. They gladly accept, and the next day Shen creates a clone of her which looks much like her child, that will keep them safe in the demi-plane if something were to happen. Makoto is upset at Shen for making all those arrangements without consulting him first, but ultimately relents. The orcs are slowly building their new village inside of the demi-plane, while Makoto learns how to use more different kinds of magic. Shen is taking advantage of this, and while he is learning magic, she reads his mind to see more of his memories. Makoto is worried what kind of secret thoughts and lewd memories she might unearth, but even so he lets her do as she pleases. While Makoto is figuring the capabilities of the power Tsukiyomi gave him, Shen brings a scared dwarf into the demi-plane. Apparently the dwarf was being chased by a very powerful monster, the Black Spider of Disaster, and Shen has led the monster into the demi-plane. The monster is a gigantic spider driven mad by hunger, and now that it's sensed Makoto's blood, it will try to devour him. Shen tells him that she tried to reason with the monster at one point in the past. The hunger has driven it completely mad, which resulted in her having to fight it, and after dealing some damage, the spider fled. Taking this into account, Makoto starts fighting the spider with all the new techniques he acquired, but the spider's regeneration is making it impossible for Makoto to kill it. Eventually, it ends up getting a bite out of Makoto, which sends Makoto into a frenzy. Releasing all of his magical power, he obliterates the spider, but even that proves to not be enough. As Makoto falls onto the ground, exhausted and unconscious from his endeavor, the spider regenerates once again. Instead of devouring Makoto, it turns out the spider has developed a fondness towards him because of his tasty blood and all the pain he is able to inflict to it. Shen jumps in, separating Makoto from the spider, realizing that Makoto's blood satiated the spider's hunger. Making it able to reason again, she makes the spider remember who she is, explaining how she formed a pact with Makoto. She adds that Makoto was powerful enough to command both of them at once, so it should enter a pact with him too. Without Makoto's knowledge or consent, Shen forms a pact between him and the spider, which causes the spider to transform into a beautiful humanoid lady as well. After regaining consciousness, Makoto is shocked to learn that he has gained yet another beautiful servant. The dwarf that got saved by Shen is grateful for their kindness, asking if his people could also leave the wasteland and settle the demi-plane. Makoto quickly accepts them, while Shen sets up the rules they will need to follow. Makoto travels through the wasteland for a few hours every day, looking for a human settlement. Once he finally finds one, he is called back to the demi-plane, where Shen wants him to give new names to her and the black spider. After some consideration, he gives Shen her new name Tamo and names the black spider Mio. In giving them names made them even more powerful. Afterwards, lots of different monsters gathered to settle the demi-plane as the word about it spread. Other than the orcs and dwarves, there are Tomo's followers, the Mist Lizards, and Mio's followers, the Alk. The dwarven elder is happy to learn that Makoto does not follow the will of the goddess, as what she desires conflicts with what they want. Finally getting the chance to visit the human village, Makoto learns the hard way that the ability the goddess gave him is similar to a curse, making him unable to actually understand humans. They take him for a monster, and not wanting to fight them, he runs back to the demi-plane. There he learns that Emma, Tamo, and Mio can speak the human language, so he starts studying under their tutorage. They also tell him that the huge amount of mana he is releasing is probably very terrifying to the humans, so he commissions the dwarves to create a ring that can suppress his mana. After some trial and error, the ring is finished, but his skills with the human language are not going well. While he is able to understand, read, and write, his pronunciation is way off. In order to compensate for that, he decides to communicate by writing magical letters. And so, under the guise of being traveling merchants, Makoto, Mio, and Tamo enter the human village. Visiting the Adventurers Guild, they decide to sign up as adventurers, explaining how Makoto is a cursed son of a wealthy trader, and the two girls are his servants. The curse is making him unable to talk, so he has to communicate through magical writing. As a part of signing them up, they measure their power levels. Everyone in the guild is shocked to learn that Tamo is level 1320, while Mio is level 1500, making them the highest level adventurers in the entire guild. Makoto was sad to find out that his level did not increase at all since the last time it got measured. After getting their adventure cards, they find lodgings for the night. Leaving Tamo to watch their goods, Makoto and Mio head out into the town to get some food. While walking through the city, the two of them get stopped by a little girl. Tamo gets attacked while watching over their trade goods, but she is able to deal with the masked robbers with ease. After she captures one of the robbers, she brings them to the inn room for interrogation. The little girl that stopped Makoto and Tamo seems to be distraught, so Makoto decides to take her back to their inn room. After she calms down, they learn that her name is Rinon, and her older sister called Toa went missing after not being able to pay back a debt. Once Rinon shows them a sketch of her sister, it becomes apparent that those robbers are connected to her disappearance, as Tamo saw the same girl in the robbers' memories. Makoto sends Tamo and Mio to rescue Toa while he stays behind to watch over Rinon. He does so because he realized that Toa looks identical to the girl from his world named Hasegawa, who he liked very much, so he would not be able to contain his rage if he were to go there. Tamo and Mio successfully find and save Toa, but as they are trying to leave, they get confronted by the strongest adventurer in town, called Ace. In the meanwhile, Makoto went out with Rinon to sell his goods, earning quite a bit of gold from them. Suddenly, Rinon runs off, coming up with a weak excuse why she needs to go. Makoto does not fall for it and uses the power Tsukayomi gave him to keep an eye on her. Doing so, he learns who she is meeting with and what they are saying, finding out that the robbers from before are using her to get information on him. Hearing how she is now forced to steal the gold he earned from him makes Makoto even more upset. The leader of the robbers joins up with Ace, who seems to be in charge of the whole criminal operation going on in this town. Ace makes the mistake of bad-mouthing Makoto in front of Tamo and Mio, who get enraged and pummel him senseless. In the process, they take out all the robbers who were with him, freeing other adventurers that they had held captive. Rinon is struggling with her new mission, reluctant to steal from the person who is so kind to her. Makoto comes up to her and comforts her, reassuring her that everything will be okay. The fight against the robbers turns into a competition between Tamo and Mio, and they end up destroying the entire town while showing off how much damage they can cause. The two sisters reunite, thanking Makoto, Tamo, and Mio for their help. Makoto is happy about that, but at the same time he is furious at Tamo and Mio for destroying the entire town in their competition. Makoto, Tamo, and Mio are traveling with the adventurers they rescued towards the next big town. They use Tomo's mind-altering ability to change the memories of everyone but Rinon and Toa, making them think that a horde of monsters came and destroyed the city instead. In order to prevent the two from destroying any more towns in such competitions, Makoto sends Tamo to venture out on her own and grow stronger. That way she will not feel inferior to Mio. Tamo accepts his decision and sets out on her own, which makes Mio happy to get Makoto all for herself. On their way to the next big town called Sage, they keep coming across dangerous monsters who Mio and Makoto are able to dispatch with ease. Toa uses that chance to harvest valuable materials from them, teaching Makoto how to do it too. Upon reaching Sage, Makoto has to re-register with the Adventurers Guild because the last registration did not go through before the town got destroyed. There he picks up a request for rare materials which he already has. Before parting ways with Toa, Rinon, and the other adventurers, they all go out for a lovely dinner together. During the dinner, Toa warns Makoto that she heard that bad things happen to adventurers who accept jobs from Rembrandt Trading Company, which happens to be the client he requested the job from. Before turning in for the night, Makoto visits the demi-plane to check on things. There he helps Emma direct the construction of the city by further explaining his vision on how to establish a bustling trade hub. Upon returning to Sage, Makoto proceeds to deliver the requested materials to the client, Patrick Rembrandt. At first, Patrick is skeptical that such a low-level adventurer could procure the rare materials he needs, but when Makoto shows him the goods, he quickly changes his tune. Patrick explains that he needs those materials to create ambrosia, a magical medicine that cures everything. Apparently, his wife and 2 daughters got cursed by a witch doctor. Makoto offers to help, giving him enough materials to create ambrosia for everyone, as well as contacting one of the adventurers he rescued the other day, who happens to be a great alchemist. Makoto expresses his desire to join the Merchants Guild, and Patrick wishes him luck. At the Merchants Guild, the receptionist tells him about the test he needs to pass in order to become a member. Makoto is worried, but upon checking out the manual for the test decides to take it on the spot, surprised by the fact that the written part of the test is grade school level of difficulty. As a former high schooler, he passes the written exam in record time, shocking the instructor who is overseeing the test. The second part of the test is to procure valuable trade goods and materials. While the list he gets is quite difficult to find, he is allowed to procure other materials of equal value, which he thankfully has due to all the monsters he had defeated on the way to the city. The instructor is left speechless, telling him that he is the first person ever to just show up and pass the test on their first day. Tamo has been visiting the demi-plane every now and then to take breaks from hunting large monsters on her own. Emma puts her to work, making her help Mio go through more of Makoto's memories that she extracted before, since they are using his memories to help understand how to build his desired city. Returning to the demi-plane, Makoto gets an urgent message from Tamo, who needs help calming Mio down. Arriving at the scene, Makoto realizes that Mio has also developed a fondness of certain shows from his memories, harassing Tamo to extract more of them faster. Makoto gets annoyed at their behavior, reprimanding both of them before returning to Sage with them. They try to entice Makoto to sleep with one of them, but he ignores them, contacting the alchemist adventurer instead to tell him about the ambrosia job. The next morning, Makoto meets up with the adventurer, heading towards Patrick's mansion to finish their job. 2 other adventurers are keeping an eye on them, deciding to gather as many available adventurers as they can in order to stop Patrick from having his way again. Makoto and the alchemist, Hazel, arrive at Patrick's estate where they begin working on the ambrosia. While producing the medicine, Hazel notices that the materials they are using are actually substitute materials. Patrick's butler, Morris, explains that they need to use the substitute materials because the ambrosia flower needed for it is extremely hard to get. Makoto figures he might earn quite a bit of money by procuring those flowers. After a while, Hazel finishes preparing the medicine, but as they go to administer it, they find Patrick injured on the floor. He tells them that he tried to administer the first batch of the medicine on his own, but his wife was too wild. Patrick explains that the curse transformed his wife and daughters into powerful monsters, and Makoto believes that the curse is making them extra aggressive to prevent them from getting cured. Makoto reassures Patrick, telling him to come along and administer the medicine while he restrains them. Thanks to his help, Patrick is able to administer the ambrosia medicine to his wife and daughters, curing them from the curse. Patrick thanks Makoto for freeing him from the nightmare he was in before saying farewell. Returning from Patrick's mansion, Makoto runs into Tamo and Mio, who came to meet up with him because they noticed a bunch of adventurers following after him. At that point, the adventurers that held a grudge against Patrick jump out of the woods and attack them. They are nothing special, so Makoto and Tamo easily deal with them. While interrogating the leader of the band who attacked them, called Lime, they learn that they got tricked by the witch doctor to place the curse, not knowing how potent it was, because they were upset at the way Patrick was controlling adventurers in the city. Makoto decides to spare Lime so he can continue looking after the orphanage that is important to him, forcing him to come clean and apologize to Patrick for the grief he caused him. After he is forgiven by Patrick, Lime retires from adventuring, so Tamo decides to take him under her wing as her pupil, giving him a proper weapon and training so he can protect what is important to him. In return, she wants him to serve as her spy in the city, keeping tabs on what Patrick and his company are up to. In the demiplane, the motivation of the monsters who fight is on an all-time low. Emma explains that the reason for that is Makoto, who keeps easily defeating them during training. In order to remedy that, Tamo comes up with an idea. She decides to hold a contest of strength, where the strongest member of the orcs will face against the strongest member of the lizards. Their fight is observed by Makoto, Tamo, and Mio, who witness the winner to be the orc. Instead of congratulating him on the win, Tamo turns this around, putting the monsters down for not being strong enough to impress them. By doing that, she sets the new norm for how powerful the monsters who want to fight should strive to be, making them work together to become even stronger. Back inside, Makoto, Tamo, and Mio are asked to train an adventurer to become the successor to Lime, since he was the strongest adventurer they had. Makoto decides to ask Toa and her group to be his successors, having Tamo train them. Tamo takes this task seriously, as she realizes that Toa resembles someone important to Makoto from his world. And so Toa, Hazel, Lusa, and Ranana are being taught how to function better as a group, bringing out their potential. Thanks to Tamo, they are able to take out 2 entire nests of very powerful monsters, proving their worth to the guild. Makoto sends Mio to look where the ambrosia flowers could be growing before visiting Patrick to ask him for a favor. Namely, he wants to open his first shop in the city, but does not want to be pulled into the politics behind buying a place of his own. So Makoto wants his first shop location to be rented from Patrick. Patrick obliges him, making arrangements for him to get a location for the shop. Not only that, but he also tells Makoto about a neutral city where he could open a place of his own, without getting dragged into politics. In the demiplane, there is a huge festival, celebrating the opening of Makoto's trading company. During this time, Makoto is getting some time to meet and talk with all the different monsters who are helping out, learning that his illusory city project is coming along nicely. Mio and Tamo are relaxing together when they notice that something is wrong with Makoto's presence. Rushing to his side, they find him practicing archery, much like he used to back in his world. Makoto is confused why the two of them are in such a panic, wondering if everything is okay. While Mio is crying, Tamo explains that the way he was focusing while practicing archery made his consciousness fade into the background, just like if he was dying. Makoto does not really understand what she means, as he was completely fine. But Tamo disagrees, explaining that every time he does that, it makes his consciousness experience death and rebirth, which makes his already large amount of mana increase. At that point, Makoto realizes that the rings that absorb mana from him to hide his tremendous aura are already at full capacity. Tamo tells him that the problem is the fact that his current amount of mana is on the level of the goddess herself. This immense growth also influences the demiplane, causing it to expand together with his mana. Because of that, the goddess is likely to make a move to exterminate him before he grows too powerful. For the time being, Makoto decides to focus on concealing his mana as much as possible. Taking a walk to clear his head, Makoto bumps into a prostitute. As the prostitute is trying to solicit him, Mio and Tamo appear, grabbing Makoto and dragging him to an inn room. There they become very assertive, insisting that he should be intimate with them instead of some random prostitute. Not getting a chance to clear up the misunderstanding, Makoto flees to the demiplane. Rugui, the dwarf who made the mana-absorbing rings, has finished more accessories and clothes for Makoto, helping him suppress the massive amount of mana. Mio meets up with Makoto, apologizing for her behavior from last night. The two of them head out into the Tinnarak forest, where she found the ambrosia flowers to be growing. They are being followed by 3 adventurers, one of whom is the prostitute Makoto met the day before. Upon arriving to the garden where the flowers are growing, it becomes apparent that they are being cultivated by someone. At that point, 2 girls show up, Eris and Aqua, who seem to be the caretakers of the garden. They think that Makoto and Mio are with the 3 humans who followed them, so they attack them in order to keep the location of their garden secret. While running from Eris and Aqua, Makoto and Tamo coordinate their moves, making the 3 adventurers enter the demi-plane. After they are out of the picture, Makoto and Mio fight back against their pursuers, easily overpowering them. Makoto explains to them that they only wanted to talk and trade with them, and not steal their precious flowers. The girls decide to lead him and Mio to their village, revealing that they are forest ogres. Makoto meets up with a representative of the ogre elders, called Niljastory. After he explains the desire to trade with them, the elders retreat to deliberate. One of the ogres present at Dono seems very distrustful towards him. Aqua and Eris introduce Makoto to their master, Mondo, who is the strongest ogre in the village. Mio quickly separates Mondo from Makoto as he was hobbing him too much for himself. Makoto sends Mio to spy for him, trying to learn more about Mondo and Adono. While snooping around, Mio learns that Mondo is possessed while Adono is dealing with the demons behind everyone's back. Later that day, Makoto is enjoying a feast with the ogres, when suddenly the creature possessing Mondo makes its appearance. It attacks Adono and drains his life force in order to sustain a physical body, revealing itself to be a lick. The lick explains how Mondo will be fine, but Adono had to die because he was making deals with some troublesome individuals. Afterwards, the lick directs his focus towards Makoto, wanting to learn more about him by absorbing his life force. Makoto is more than capable of completely nullifying the lich's magic, sending him to the demi-plane after making sure he can no longer fight. The ogres are left in shock from everything that just transpired, becoming suspicious of Makoto. But Tamo makes her appearance, revealing that she has a history with Niljastory and the forest ogres, as she was the one who set up the barrier around their village in the past. Tamo explains that she now serves Makoto, which makes the ogres view him in a different light. Returning to the demi-plane to interrogate the lick, Makoto, Tamo, and Mio learn that he is trying to find a way to become a Grant, meaning a superior human who is capable of traveling between worlds. But Tamo corrects him, explaining that anyone could travel between worlds if they found a rift, and those that managed to remain in other worlds were given that name. She continues to explain that traveling between worlds through such rifts is still possible, but the chance of survival is less than 10%. The lick feels crushed from that revelation, so Tamo suggests he should form a pact with Makoto, as he could teach Makoto a lot more about magic than Emma. The lick is far inferior to Makoto, so he wonders if he can even be of use to him, but Makoto gladly accepts him. And so, the lick transforms into a humanoid form as a result of the pact. At that moment, a loud explosion happens in the distance, and Tamo suddenly collapses, suffering a nasty injury. Leaving Mio to tend to Tamo, Makoto heads out to investigate the explosion, bringing the lick with him. He finds a badly injured Alk and an orcish child. With Lich's help, he tends to the wounds of the Alk, leaving the lick behind to continue healing, while he rushes onwards to the ground zero of the explosion. Arriving there, Makoto finds the area covered in his own mana. He notices a still open mist gate leading out of the demi-plane, so he follows through. But as he is trying to get through it, memories from the person he is chasing flow into his mind. Those are the memories of the prostitute adventurer he met the other day. From them, he learns that she was trying to use him for her personal gain from the start. During the night, she and her 2 companions snuck out of the illusory city, stealing dangerous items and weapons from their storage. While they were trying to get away with them, they got found out. As things were heating up, one of the items that was there for disposal, a ring that Makoto uses to absorb his mana, got tossed around, causing the vast amount of energy within it to explode. Witnessing that, Makoto is taken over by his anger towards the scheming woman. Following through the gate after her, he catches her. Without showing any mercy, he overpowers her, killing her on the spot. The reality of everything that happened catches up to him soon thereafter, making him break down in tears. Returning back to the demi-plane, Makoto finds that Tamo has recovered from her injury. He asks her why he could see the adventurer's memories, as that is her ability. She explains that he is able to use any of his servant's abilities once a strong enough bond of trust is formed between them, but it could have also been just an extreme circumstance that pushed the ability to be available to him. Makoto is also grateful to the Lick for his help with the healing, giving him the name Shiki. Afterwards, Makoto holds a funeral for Tomo's friedman and the orc who perished in the incident. He apologizes for his mistake as he did not realize the nature of humans in this world. In order to avoid such situations in the future, he decides to change the layout of the illusory city, completely walling it off from the places where demi-humans live and setting up guard patrols. Deciding he has to learn more about the state of this world and the races living in it, as well as the goddess who only favors the humans, Makoto sets out to the neutral city, Rotsgard. He decides to take Shiki with him, while leaving Mio and Tomo to take care of things in the demi-plane. After giving them farewell gifts, he sets out with Shiki to the teleportation circle used by travelers in order to reach Rotsgard more quickly. Unfortunately, by stepping on the teleportation circle, Makoto is noticed by the goddess, who teleports him to an unknown location. There he is instantly assaulted by a boy and a woman, who cuts off 2 of his fingers with her surprise attack. The pair of attackers seem to believe that Makoto is a demi-human serving the goddess, telling him that they are his enemies because they chose to side with the demons. Using his ability, Makoto realizes that he has found himself on a battlefield between humans and demons. The fighting continues and Makoto is trying to create an opening for him to retreat, but the pair is very powerful, giving him no room to breathe. Seeing that he is a strong opponent, the attackers decide to seal away the blessing of the goddess from him. While doing so, they introduce themselves. The woman is Sophia, the famous dragon slayer, and the boy is called Lancer, formerly known as the Dragon Mitsurugi. They are both shocked when they realize that sealing away the blessing did absolutely nothing to weaken Makoto, making them wonder if the goddess did not curse him instead. In order to win against them, Makoto removes the rings, absorbing his mana, releasing his full potential. Drawing a new weapon that the dwarves made specifically for him, he starts to fight them at full power. Sophia and Lancer are taken aback by the amount of raw power he possesses, being barely able to defend against him. Thinking how he is not proficient at close-quarter combat, Sophia charges him, but Makoto simply cuts through her massive sword with his new weapon. Seeing no other option, Sophia grabs Makoto and teleports him far above the clouds, making him drop down into countless of floating blade shards before teleporting herself back to safety. Makoto uses his magic to blast away the blade shards before infusing all of his mana into a powerful water-based magic arrow. In order to boost its strength even further, he combines it with the rings that were absorbing his mana. This turns it into a devastating attack that completely obliterates the entire battlefield underneath him. While free-falling, Makoto is saved by a missed gate opening underneath him, taking him back into the demi-plane. Sophia and Lancer survive the attack, but not without consequences. Sophia is completely beat up with her armor being destroyed, while Lancer lost a leg in the explosion. Since they can no longer sense him, the 2 of them think that Makoto has to be dead after using magic like that. Makoto wakes up all healed up in the demi-plane, where he explains what happened to him to Tomo, Mio, and Shiki. They reason that the goddess did this to force Makoto to fight the demons, as he would be mistaken as a part of the human army. Makoto is bothered by the fact that he cannot utilize a lot of his mana at once, which hinders his capabilities in combat. Shiki reassures him that when he learns more control over his magic, he will be able to overcome that hurdle. Tomo and Mio want to join him next time when he leaves, but Makoto refuses, saying how the 2 of them are his trump cards, and he wants to keep them hidden from the goddess, so he will call them only when the time is right. Tomo introduces a new fragment of hers that she created to Makoto, this time using one of Makoto's charged-up rings as her core in order to prevent the same thing from happening again. Makoto was happy to see the little version of Tomo, giving her the name Kamo. Tomo took it upon herself to train the forest ogres and bring them into the demi-plane. The Illusory City project is coming along nicely, with Alex leading the humans who are brought in through the mist gates while pretending to be humans like they are. The shop that Makoto opened up inside is also prospering thanks to everyone's hard work. They are able to sway even those opposed to demi-humans to give them a shot. Makoto recollects everything that happened recently, thinking how he did not notice the other 2 heroes who were present on the battlefield since he was preoccupied with Sophia and Lancer. Swearing that he will do better in the future, he steels himself for things that are yet to come,